So you're middle-aged and you want to be like us and start a farm or a ranch. And the big question is it too late? My big answer is yes. It is too late if you don't act your age and you try to act like a 20-year-old version of you when it comes to starting this thing. But if you act your age, like a wise 40-year-old or 45-year-old or even 50-year-old, yeah, I think you can do it. And we're living proof of that. My name's John Davis. This is Laughlin Highlands Farm. Stick around and I'll tell you about the 5 areas that you really have to have locked down and have under control if you want to find success in your middle age in starting a ranch or starting a farm. Proverbs 16:31 states, "Gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained in a righteous life." And it is my favorite proverb. I don't think that, oh gosh, old people, middle-aged people, get the respect that they deserve in this modern society. There's something to be said. If you've got gray hair and you've made it, that means you're smart enough and not stupid that you've lived long enough to have gray hair. We take that for granted in our modern age because, lots of people live to be old. That's not something you should take for granted. That could change anytime. So we got to listen to people that are a little bit older, and that includes us. And this process starts around the age of 40 when the kids and coworkers and everybody else stops thinking that we have things to offer just because we're middle-aged. My wife and I started this ranching endeavor when we were a little bit younger than 40. I think we were 38 or so, somewhere in that time range. And for those of you in a similar age cohort, it's not easy doing this stuff. It's really freaking hard, actually. And it really boils down to 4 reasons why it's so hard. Responsibility, energy, time is a big one, and more complicated relationships. I mean, you're 40 or older, and you've got kids, I'm sure. You've got a job. So you're able to buy some land, presumably. You got a little bit of land. That means you have some money. That means you have a career that is not an entry-level career, which means you have responsibility that comes along with that, maybe people you manage. That takes a lot of time. You got things going on. Kids, they have sports. If you want to be a good parent, and you should be, if you want to be a great parent, you need to spend time with your kids doing homework. If you're a dad, taking them out hunting. If you're mom, teaching them how to cook. And dads, you can teach how to cook too. I don't want to make YouTube angry about our traditional gender roles, but all that stuff, we all have a role to play in child rearing, and it's all extremely important. Moms and dads are hugely important in bringing up children, and that takes a lot of time. Energy. Energy is one of those things that we have in abundance when we're younger. I remember doing things, we cleared land by hand with an old 30-year-old chainsaw and a pair of loppers and a big brush fire, and by golly, we cleared acres of land that way. I'm not doing that anymore at age 40. I just don't have the energy. Whether it's the work stress from the full-time job that I still run, and I still do, that just contributes to physical stress, to the fact that, I'm 41 years old. I just don't recover as fast as I used to, and that's okay. But energy is a premium nowadays, and I actually have to pay attention to that, and things like recovery and taking care of myself and health, and I could go on forever. Time is a big deal as well, and I'm not just talking about the time we have to do stuff because of the kids and the job and all that stuff. I'm talking about the compression of time. So one of the people that I love, actually 2 people that I love in this world of agriculture are Joel Salatin and Greg Judy. And both of those guys, God bless them, have been doing this forever, 30 plus years, right? And that is awesome. They were able to start out when they were young with boundless energy and grow the business and grow the market and do all that. If we want to have a successful farm or a successful ranch, we've got to take 30 years of work and compress it into, 10 years, 15 years? If you're 40, 15 years would be 55. So, really the stage between 55 and 65 is very different than the stage between 40 and 55 is very different between the stage of 25 and 40. Catch my drift? So our time is compressed because we have to do a whole lot more in a short period of time. And relationships are more complicated too. You just can't roll up on the farm, especially if you've been used to living a more suburban existence. And you guys, great, you go out and buy some property, you're going to become country folk now, and you're going to become ranchers. Man, oh man, that is a big culture shift for a family, for a husband and wife, kids and dad, kids and mom. Huge culture shift. And you just can't, bull in a china shop into that thing if you want to maintain your family, and like, you know, not live out in the barn by yourself with the chickens. So anyway, here we go. It was a rainy day today, so I posted up in the tack room, and I'll show you what we got going on, and we'll talk about how to make this thing successful. All right, so here we go. Number one, have a succession plan. And this sounds crazy because you may have just bought land and you have like 6 chickens and you're like, what are you talking about with a succession plan? You always start with the outcome and then you work backwards. Remember, you've only got in the building phase, which is extremely energy intensive and capital intensive, you've only got 10 to 15 years to get this done, probably. So if you, and maybe your outcome is you just want to have a lifestyle where you have 6 chickens and a couple hundred acres or 50 acres or 40 acres for hunting, and that's awesome. That's fantastic. But you got to know your outcome. You can't be 5 years into this and then decide, I'm going to start a full-blown regenerative ranch with a cattle breeding operation and get my kids involved, because at that point your kids are going to be teenagers, maybe young adults in like their 20s, and they may want nothing to do with your hobby. So have the outcome in mind, figure out what that's going to look like. Number 2, we're big boys and girls. Let's talk about how this property and this lifestyle fits into our overall estate plan, investment plan, all that type of stuff. Nobody ever talks about this. You just see it on YouTube where it's like, oh, you know, I went out and I bought $10,000 of camera equipment and $500 gajillion of tractors. I don't know how people do that. And all of a sudden, you know, we have a farm. Sure, if you want to keep the farm for 5 years and then go bankrupt, you're spending a ton of money here and a ton of effort and time. And like normal people, when they get to our age, if they're in kind of the white collar world, and they have some financial success, they buy a condo and they buy a boat and they go there for 3 or 4 weeks out of the year and call it a day, right? They don't go out and work like, you know, 20-year-old landscapers every single day, 7 days a week to do this crazy ranching type thing. So you got to figure out what this is going to look like. Is this going to be something that's an investment for you that you're going to sell? That is possible, but it's a different type of effort, a different type of thing that you're going to do if your farm is an investment to sell. Or is it something that you want to hand down to your kids? That's us. We want to take this 4th generation land and make it 5th generation land for family members, our kids, you know, niece and nephew, whoever is interested and has serious interest. We want to keep it in the family, but we don't want to hand them our hobby. It is a sin to hand your kids something that you find as a hobby that comes with a giant property tax price tag attached to it and comes with a giant time invested price tag attached to it. It is seriously unrighteous to expect your kids to be as interested in your hobby as you are. So our goal is we want to hand down a business. If they choose to get involved in it and grow it, we want them to have a profitable base of cash flow to start with that they can use to go on. And you know, kids and investing in your kids are one of the best investments that you can make. That's what it's all about, folks. So if you want to do that, you got to know. But again, you know, what's this look like? It should be part of your estate planning, because none of us are young. And if you haven't thought about estate planning at 40, brother, I got something to tell you. Death and taxes, my friend. Number 3 is budget. Be comfortable with your ambitions. There is even people who have unlimited resources, like millions of dollars, all right? They can spend every single last cent of that. Farming is infinitely scalable to how bankrupt you want to be, all right? So you could go out and buy all the new equipment, all the fancy cattle, all the blah, 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 all the whole thing, right? And you'll have a big old pile of money, and for 5 years, you'll have a great tax return because you won't pay taxes on anything. And then in year 6, the IRS is going to be like, hey, about this hobby that you spent all your money on. So you have to have a budget, and you have to be comfortable too. If you want to be selling breeding stock for cattle in 6 years and you have no fence, no water, no experience, no cattle, you're going to spend a whole lot of money real fast, like well into the multiple 6 figures. And you got to be ready to do that. And you got to have an ROI on the other side of that. So when you're all run out and tired in 15 years and you're more interested in sitting by the pond, having a picnic with your wife, than going out and trenching in water lines, you've got some cash flow on the farm and, you know, it's moving along, right? So, you know, whether or not you want it to be, ranching and farming is a business. And you have to be mindful of cash flow, and you have to be mindful of all the things that go along with that. So treat it like a business, even if you don't think it is. Okay? Number 4, and this is my favorite because I struggle with it all the time. Be comfortable with writing a check over doing it DIY. There's only so much time, people. And I know there are homestead videos that abound of you're not doing it right if you don't fix all your stuff. You're not doing it right if you hire out somebody to do your fence. You're not doing it right if you're not using a hand plane to plane custom-made shelves for your tack room. Like, oh my gosh. YouTube is not reality, although hopefully this video is a little bit of like actual reality. YouTube is not reality, and we only have so much time. Again, it goes back to that. You are established in your career. If you didn't grow up in this farming life and you're coming from the suburbs or you're coming from a more less rural setting, you've got a job that's not involved in agriculture, which means you're probably not going to quit that job unless you saved up a whole boatload of money. And God bless you if that's the case. But budget if that's you. And you're going to be working a job in town while you're trying to get your farm up and running. And I'll tell you what, you can't be trenching water lines at 1 o'clock in the morning when you're 45 years old and you've got to get up and go manage a department of people at 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. It just ain't going to work, all right? You have to be comfortable with spending some money, which goes back to the budget. Make sure you leave budget money in and you're good. And you're a real farmer if you pay somebody else to fix your equipment. Just as an aside, I have been fixing equipment my entire life. I have fixed so many cars, so many tractors, so many everything. I can fix anything. I really can. I'm done. I hate it. I will do oil changes and that's it. I will gladly write a check to somebody else so I'm not stuck under a piece of equipment on a Saturday night when I'd rather be hanging out with my kids and my wife because my kids are only going to be in my house for so long. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but that's kind of where we're at. All right, the last one, number 5, which dovetails great with what I just said. Don't forget your spouse and your kids. If you're coming from the suburbs, you are not prepared for the level of work that you're going to do. I don't care how many videos you've watched, how many people you know, or what you think. There is no such thing. The concept of the Sabbath from God was absolutely made for farmers. Do you know why? Is because you could actually work, you have to work 7 days a week to make this work. And just the anxiety of not working 7 days a week will run yourself into the ground. So God gave the Sabbath not to punish you or make you lazy or sit around. He's like, man, these people are going to be growing their own food. Like, holy crap, they're going to kill themselves. Like, here, I'll throw you one. I rested, you can rest too. Seriously, you're not prepared. And you may be mentally prepared to make that leap if the homestead or the ranch dream was yours. I can tell you that your wife and kids may necessarily not be prepared. And, your primary job, and this goes for both husband and wife, is to take care of the other people in your family. So if you're a man, you got to take care of your wife and you got to take care of your kids. And that means not just financially, but taking care of their emotional needs, their spiritual needs, and their needs, their physical, material needs. Make sure that you're checking in on them. And fellas, if your wife is helping out on the ranch, she's not a man, all right? You can't treat her like you would a man on a work crew, and you can't have the same expectations, especially if she didn't come from this background, because men and women are different. And YouTube, you can lambaste me for that or crucify me for that or whatever, but it's just true. And all of us have our strengths, and there are things that women can do that men most definitely cannot. And I'm not just talking about children. Women are awesome. We've got super strong women out here in the country that kill it. And there are things that men do that women can't do, and that's okay. But you have to meet your spouse where they're at, and be willing to compromise with them and have patience. If you like talking about family and how we work together on the farm, check out this video on how we do fencing with our kids, and they're helping. It's awesome. I'm so proud of my kids. If you are interested in how we manage our livestock and some of the construction projects we do, I did this video on constructing a new chicken area to keep our chickens looking less like a rundown redneck farm and more like kind of a tidy little homestead, worthy of a yuppie. So Thank you very much for watching. This is John Davis, Laughlin Highlands Farm. Have a great day. God bless.